got the diagnosis, I was put on prednisone, which gives you the moon face. And at this point, I was in my last semester of grade 12. So I had grad pictures, prom, all that fun stuff to have this blown up face with, which wasn't the most pleasant, but I was happy to not be sick as often, just being healthier. So I dealt with that. I think the only maybe somewhat embarrassing or memorable moment with the moon face, I call it, was a friend I hadn't seen it in quite a while, and she saw me randomly out and about, and she asked me if I just got my wisdom teeth out. And I was like, oh no, and I think she was more embarrassed after she asked it and realized that wasn't the case than I really was, because I didn't really have a problem with it, but it was kind of one of the funny things that you just kind of laugh off and you can't really do much about. But the following year, I went off to university in Toronto, Ryerson, and I was still trying to figure out what kind of foods I could and couldn't eat. Like Sarah said, the diet, there's no strict diet for Crohn's disease. Everyone has their own. There's no certain list of this is what you can and cannot eat. So everyone gets to find it out the hard way and just figure out what's acceptable for their own body. So, and being a first year university student, you don't always have the best diet. I lived off popcorn and Pepsi, which not very good things for Crohn's disease. So I had flare-ups every couple of weeks and just was still throwing up most of the time. And it was something I got through, and something that made it easier was, ironically, another guy that lived on my floor in residence had just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease that same year. And so the two of us were able to talk and just bounce ideas off each other and share home remedies and just kind of be there to support each other because we didn't know anybody else that had had it. And it was actually through meeting this other student that I kind of realized what my mom had gone through while I was, every time that I was sick, and she'd say that she kind of felt like helpless. She couldn't really do anything for me. And I saw that once my friend was having a flare-up and I couldn't really do anything to help, even though I knew exactly what he was going through, but there's still just nothing really you can do in that moment to help. So it was nice to just have someone else to talk to. Most of my university wasn't too bad. I got through. I found the best method was to talk to my professors, just explain at the beginning of the semester what was going on, so that if I got sick for an exam or anything like that, major assignment, they already knew the whole situation, and it wasn't going to be this. It didn't seem like an excuse. It wasn't a big problem. They already kind of understood. I didn't end up missing any exams my entire 4 years, which was great. I did, however, miss a thesis presentation, but the professors, luckily, they already knew. I'd already explained to them, but I found out the hard way that I couldn't eat pineapple. Making homemade pizza, if you've ever made homemade pizza, you know you eat half the ingredients and they never make it to the pizza. So I ate probably half a can of pineapple while making it, and that made me so sick and just severe abdominal pain, and eventually I had to go into the hospital. And I was admitted. They found out that I had a bowel obstruction because of the pineapple. It doesn't digest, it's too fibrous. And I had an NG tube put in, which is a suction tube through the nose into the stomach. And kept on that for 4 or 5 days and couldn't eat, had this tube in, and just had to kind of let it resolve itself. It was something that they just said, kind of have to deal with it, kind of got to get through it. So I did, got over that, never touched pineapple again. I had, the next year was fine. I didn't miss any other school, just my adrenal problem. And it was about, just after the summer, after I graduated, I started having more flare-ups and getting sick almost every other night. And it didn't matter what I ate, it didn't matter what I did. Usually it'll pass 1 or 2 days, and I never go to the hospital. I try to stick it out and just get through it. But it got to the point where it didn't seem right. I knew it was different. So I got into my specialist, and he sent me for a couple tests, and they sent me for barium X-rays, colonoscopy, ultrasound, and CT. And it was the month of November. I had a test every single week. And while I was waiting for all the test results to come back, in December I was hospitalized again. And it was at that point that I got my test results and found out that I'd had another blockage, but it was due to scar tissue this time. And it wasn't just inflammation, and it wasn't going to be able to resolve itself. I was given 2 options, surgery or prednisone. But I was told if I went on the prednisone, it'd be a very short-term fix, and I'd basically have to have the surgery after that anyways. And at that point, I was mostly in pain 24/7, couldn't work because of the pain. I couldn't eat. I was down to eating pretty much mashed potatoes and soup. Those were the only things that I could eat at all. So had no energy. So it was the right thing for me to do. The only problem was they couldn't book me until this was in December, and it wasn't until April 1st that they said I could get in to have this surgery. So it was just draining, and you're not able to eat at that point, and I couldn't go out, couldn't do pretty much anything other than maybe go to the show, which in the show it's okay, you can just sit and relax, and you don't have to worry about socializing, and just kind of sit and enjoy the show. But one thing you can't hide is the loudness of your digestive tract. And at that point, you didn't have to be sitting next to me. You could be the back of the room, and you would hear my stomach. And it would actually get extended to the point where you could actually see where the problem was in my digestive tract. So we decided to name my intestines Henry because it was so loud, and it seemed like it was talking to us. So it was an easy way to laugh it off. And I told my friends, well, this is Henry talking. Just ignore him. So if we were in the show and it made some loud noise that, there's those quiet points in the movie, and all of a sudden it's growling, and they'd be like, oh, Henry's talking to you again. So it was just a way that they knew they could laugh it off, and it wouldn't be offensive to me or anything like that. Luckily, I had my name down I said, if you get a cancellation, if it's the next day, I will come in, and I'll have the surgery, because really I had nothing going on anyways, I couldn't do anything. So I actually got a cancellation for in February, which I almost knew. I had a feeling. I was born in February. I was diagnosed in February. The time I was admitted to the hospital was in February. So I just had this feeling. I'm like, the surgery will happen in February. At least I was hoping it would anyways. And it did. The surgeon said that she was going to go in and take out the main section that was a problem. And she would take a look and just make sure that there was no other problem areas and stuff like that. Because she didn't want to fix me and then it actually happened again like a month down the road. So when they did the surgery, they found 4 or 5 other sections of my intestine that were severely blocked as well. So they took out an entire 60 centimeters. But I had no problem recovering. The next day in the hospital, they gave me solid food. They said, eat what you want, just do it slowly, kind of gradually introduce things back into your diet. I wasn't on any medication. I haven't been since. That was back in February, and it was out this year. And I've been eating anything and everything I want, except pineapple. So in the last month or so that I tried a piece of pineapple. It's just one of those things you're afraid to touch. And for the first couple days after the surgery, and they said, eat this, eat whatever you want. It was actually really hard. I had to make myself try food. And I would just have one bite and just see and wait it, and I'd go, oh, there's no pain. And it was almost expected, because after every meal I'd go and I'd sit on the couch and I'd kind of wait for the pain, get my heating pad ready, because gave a little relief, and I didn't need any of that. So it was such a good feeling. It was about a month after surgery, though, that my mom and I had gone out for dinner somewhere, and not sure where we'd eaten, but the next day, we weren't actually together the next day, and I was nauseous and had diarrhea and just all the symptoms that were Crohn's related symptoms. And I was just absolutely devastated and upset, and just kind of dealing with that. I didn't tell anybody. It was just kind of something that was upset, and I was bothered. It was a couple days later that I talked to my mom, and she told me she went through the same thing. She's like, did you have this? And I was like, yes. So we figured out that we got food poisoning from whatever we ate, which really sucks, but was such a relief that it wasn't the Crohn's coming back, because I was like, it hasn't even been a month, and it's already back. I went through all that. It didn't matter. But thankfully, it wasn't. But still now, there's no guarantee how long remission will last. Still off all medications. Hopefully that'll last for quite a while still. But anytime I have upset stomach, indigestion, you get that feeling